Tonight. Joining me now to preview the Democrats' matchup, Democratic National Committee Chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz, also a Democratic Congresswoman from Florida. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Jake. Great to be here.
So in an exclusive interview with CNN just now, Senate Minority Leader Harry Reid, the Democrat from Nevada, said he expected the Democratic race to go on for months. He said there might even be a contested convention. Is that possible?
I mean, I have enormous respect for Leader Reid, and he's been absolutely remarkable in fighting for our agenda. I do think that this will continue to be a robust primary that will play out over the course of the next several months. But there were predictions of a brokered convention, a fight that would go all the way to the convention in 2008, if you recall, Jake, and that didn't happen. It didn't happen because this was wrapped up in a timely process through the normal primary schedule, and I think that's what the case. That will be the case here.
All right, so a respectful disagreement with Leader Reid. Hillary Clinton lost to Bernie Sanders in New Hampshire by 22 percentage points, the biggest victory in a contested Democratic primary there since John F. Kennedy. But it looks as though Clinton and Sanders are leaving the Granite State with the same number of delegates in their pockets because Clinton has the support of New Hampshire's superdelegates, these party insiders. What do you tell voters who are new to the process who says this makes them feel like it's all rigged?
Well, let me just make sure that I can clarify exactly what was available during the primaries in Iowa and in New Hampshire. The unpledged delegates are a separate category. The only thing available on the ballot in a primary and a caucus is the pledged delegates, those that are tied to the candidate that they are pledged to support, and they receive a proportional number of delegates going into our convention. Unpledged delegates exist really to make sure that party leaders and elected officials don't have to be in a position where they are running against grassroots activists. We are, as a Democratic Party, really highlight and emphasize inclusiveness and diversity at our convention, and so we want to give every opportunity to grassroots activists and diverse, committed Democrats to be able to participate, attend, and be a delegate at the convention. And so we separate out those unpledged delegates to make sure that there isn't competition between them.
I'm not sure that answer would satisfy an anxious young voter, but let's move on. Here's a contrary concern that I do hear from some Democrats out there. Can Bernie Sanders, do you think, win a general election?
I mean, I've said repeatedly that I think that either one of our two candidates will ultimately be elected the 45th president of the United States. And it's very simple. Look at the insult fest that is going on the other side of the aisle that occurs at every one of their debates. At our debates, you have substantive, deep dive discussions about how to build on President Obama's legacy of 71 straight months of job growth in the private sector, cutting our deficits by nearly 3/4, 19 million Americans who now have health insurance. And the distinction between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders is really on how to continue to move in the direction to help more people reach the middle class. And that, compared with the backwards direction that Republicans would take us, all of them have hugged the most extreme right wing of their party, would take away health care, would turn Medicare into a voucher system, would roll back all the economic progress and take care of the wealthiest, most fortunate Americans. That's the contrast, no matter who the nominees are, and the American people will continue to choose to go in the direction we have been, like they have in 5 out of the last 6 presidential elections.
You were a big supporter of Hillary Clinton in 2008. Were you surprised that she lost the woman vote in New Hampshire?
You know, it's not for me in my role as National Party Chair, Jake, to be handicapping or analyzing the results of our primaries. What I am thrilled about is that if you look at the 11 and then 8 Republican candidates who drove voters to the polls and had record turnout, our candidates also, although there were only 2 really driving voters to the polls, nearly equaled the record turnout that occurred on the Republican side. And so that shows you what kind of enthusiasm and organization we have. And the big difference between the Republicans and the Democrats is that we have a central voter file that both Secretary Clinton and Senator Sanders are feeding their data from their organization and mobilization into our data file, which will eventually bode well for our nominee. And the Republicans still have a very fractured process, different vendors, no memorandums of understanding, and so they're going to be all over the place. And we'll maintain our digital and technological advantage that we've had for many years and that allowed us to propel our nominee to victory, and we will again.
Congresswoman and DNC Chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the debate.